Yeah, can you hear me? I'm live. I should be live on X. Are we doing this? This should be going well. I hope this is all live. I'm trying to get feedback from the team. We're all remote around the world, traveling like crazy. Um, how are we doing? Where is everybody? I don't know where everybody is anymore. Here, I hope this is working. I hope you can hear me. Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. What a weekend. Oh my God, I hope you guys survived that, but what a turmoil. What amount of activity, huge load, huge set of activity. Amazing, amazing, amazing week. Yeah, I don't know, it depends who you have amazing and who you talk to, but it's all pretty hectic, all about and up there. Um, but yeah, it seems like I'm showing. I hope you can hear me and the audio works. Anyway, hi, I'm Stefan Roost. I'm the founder and CDO of Laguna Labs, which are the builders behind Truflation and the Truth Network. And we've got a big ecosystem growing around the Truth Network, and we're happy to share a lot of that work with you. But I think first and foremost, we had another amazing tweet from the team out there, 100,000 views. And it really turns out that a lot of you really like to find out what was going on and how the methodology works at the BLS, the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. And here, what Rodrigo did was he looked at all the history, and what were the weighting changes across history for the specific categories. Right here, you got food, food at home, food away from home, and how that's broken down. Right, so you can see huge spike in food away from home. So I don't know why that is. And nobody knows why that is. They don't justify it, they just change them. And we only find out at the end of January about these changes and how they changed it over time. And look at the changes over here in the food at home, which is the groceries, where you go and do your groceries. Not live on X yet. Why is it not live on X yet? Here, I've done everything here. It should be live. Ended. Why is it ended? God damn. I mean, it's just really, these tools are just not. I know I should have it down by now. Here, Riverside. I'm on Riverside already now. So if you're watching Riverside, you'll be seeing this. Anybody, everyone can chat, get captions for your audio and video. I mean, all these features that are popping up now. Okay, so now how's the broadcast coming out? Success, broadcast created. So it should be live now. Shoop, I am in on X. Can you confirm that? And yeah, let's see. Is it coming on X? Can you tell? Crypto hobbyist, can you see it? Yeah, it looks to be live up there. Okay, finally. But here you can just see. So again, just giving you feedback, we had a post that generated about 100,000 views out there. A lot of people seem to like the dissection of the BLS and how they changed the methodology. They only announced this change in February, so after the January inflation announcement. So all of a sudden, these now become a public announcement, right? So we haven't seen this before. Now it's available. And thanks to Rodrigo on the team at Truflation Research, they did come up with some ideas. So here you can see food away from home spiked. So a lot more people going out for food. I don't know why that's become such a more important category. I would have thought in inflationary times, people eat at home more. And look at the weighting in terms of how they break down. And all of a sudden, as of December for January, they split the weightings across the different types of food significantly. Dairy and related products are there. The weighting of eggs dropped significantly, right? Where we have huge eggflation, they drop it. Meatflation, chickenflation, right? We killed all those chickens a while back in fear of chicken flu. which resulted in us not having chickens. It wasn't only the change in diet that I suggested last time, but after doing some more research, we found out that it's actually also, we killed a hell of a lot of chickens back a couple of years ago, and ultimately means less eggs, because less chickens, less eggs. We were worried about the bird flu coming back, and so that's what happened. And then you can just see that. Also, some other categories, just to see how they change over the course of the year. If you look back in October, electricity and utility and gas change in weightings, not in, yeah, just how much people spend. They change the weightings all the time. So I think that's their dynamic, not getting more data sets, getting more price changes in there, but they change the weightings. And they don't disclose this. It's not transparent unless you do deep, deep research, and you only get to do that once a year. So here, how they changed the energy and commodities sector as well. Yeah, and then again here, look at the commodities, apparel, new vehicles. So the weightings change significantly. Shelter, medical care services. Anyway, so lots of insights there, which means to us that you're a lot more interested in this breakdown and these type of insights. If you're a premium subscriber, you get these insights, and we will share more of these with subscribers in more sort of member-only podcasts, and we can have direct interactions and conversations around the insights here and what we're seeing. So sign up and become a part of it, and see what it's like. That was really, what happened last week. We had the big announcement, the big shock, big conversation. Boom, we go into a weekend. And what does the week in front of us look like, right? So we've got a 3-day holiday over the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Monday was public holiday. This week we have this consumer confidence index coming up. You can see we have the from Michigan. There, that's the big thing. I think we've got the FOMC meetings, minutes of the meetings. So we get the minutes this week as well. What else do we get? I think that's sort of really it. We get to see the SPR reserves. How has the strategic petroleum reserves moved up or down? And then what is the expectation? So we're, I think, about 4 million barrels or tons. I don't know how it's measured, so don't quote me on that. And then, yeah, what are the home sales like? That comes out as well. So those are some other interesting metrics that come out in addition to the consumer confidence. And if you remember, when we dissected the numbers for inflation, we showed a huge spike, that the consumer was anticipating a huge spike in inflation up to 4% again. So let's see what happens, and where we're at. And if we actually go back to Truflation.com, we can see here, let's go back to what is up there. We can go to it's 2.33. So we had a bit of a spike from the 2.06 that we were at the beginning of the month. There's also a big detailed blog post and Twitter post around why that changed. Ivan went into good detail as to why we have a change in the small uptick at 2.33 from 2.06. So anyway, lots of changes coming, and the changes aren't, saw over the weekend, we saw significant findings around the Trump, around yeah, so by the way, here are some of the announcements coming out. So you can see, Etsy's got an announcement, Toast, which is one of the point of sale vendors, good way to aggregate consumer pricing details automatically in real time. Point of sale solution at a coffee shop. You can get the price of all their coffee vendors, all their other vendors that they have. Take a look at that. Interesting to have a look at. We got Garmin, we got who else? Wix, Fiverr. Fiverr is a gig economy platform. Shake Shack. We got who else? We got Baxter. We got some drugs, some Medicare, Wayfair furniture, Unity gaming, Alibaba, Mercado Libre. So Argentina. I'll come to Argentina a little bit. Also Rivian electric cars. Let's see what happens there. Yeah, but that's sort of what to expect for the rest of this week. But I think going back over the weekend, I'm sure a lot of you witnessed a lot of things. And JD Vance gave an amazing presentation if you haven't seen it, go to Twitter, JD Vance. He gave an amazing presentation at the Munich Security Conference, really around Europe and what was going on. And basically, that the US was not going to back Europe anymore in the war in Ukraine and protecting Ukraine. And so as a result, I don't know if you saw this, but there was this guy, I don't know what's his name, Christoph Heusgen. He was on stage in front of a whole audience. This is a top tier politician responsible for security. And he was crying that the US wasn't backing him. He was crying on stage. I don't know, man, but it's just like really, I mean, this is how do you go to war like that? If you're crying on stage because someone hurt your feelings by talking and you're in war and war zone and by the way, Slovakian wars, if you look at all the history of wars in across that Eastern Europe part, I mean, huge wars and vicious wars. I mean, really going brutal. It's a guerrilla warfare. It's in rocks, in mountains. It's quite brutal. So, you know, and then here you got somebody on stage. Number one, he's laughing at Trump on the left here, if you can see on my screen. He's laughing. Why is he laughing? He's laughing because he can't. I don't know if you're seeing my screen. No, you're just seeing me. Whoa, that's why. I don't know why. I had share screen. Here, this guy. Yeah, I don't know if you can see this. Now you can see it. Yeah, this guy. Yeah, so here you can see he was crying literally on stage. It was really appalling just to see how this. I mean, I don't know, man. At a big conference, a big politician responsible for security with basically zero backbone. And there he's smiling at Trump when Trump was announcing that you're going to be so dependent on Russia for one single source of energy. You got to change this. And he was laughing, oh, we're not going to listen to you, you American. We're German. We know better, right? The biggest danger facing Europe is censorship. He wasn't exaggerating. Anyway, yeah, so you can see, I mean, it's literally what happened. I don't know if you saw the 60-minute breakdown. Freedom of speech is a real issue, right? I saw another interview with Fidias, who's the Cypriot representative in the European Council. He was interviewing another German guy who's talking about being in World War. You know, oh, I come from a dictatorship. Dude, you're 30 years old. When did Germany have a dictatorship in the last 30 years? None that I know of. And by the way, the censorship in Germany, even back then, was really hard. So it was really hard to put anything out. There was a really good podcast out there by the ACLU, the head of the ACLU, who was talking about, how censorship was rife before Hitler came to power, right? And so those are all things to just check out, lots to look up and do that, right? And so anyway, I thought that was really crass, and this sort of led me to, I was at a dinner with a lot of Germans the other weekend, and at that dinner, you know, I was the only sort of, you know, sort of I was the only libertarian there, or the anarcho-capitalist. And one of the things that really stood out is they are all against speech, free speech. They are all, unless free speech is via a centralized, approved authority, they are, I mean, they really don't like another person's opinion. They think the European economy is doing fantastic and great, and there's no corruption in Europe, and there's no debt in Europe. So that made me sort of go and think, have I got it wrong? Have I really got this wrong? And so what I tried to do instead was just really have a look at what is in Europe, right? And so rather than being zero debt in Europe, there is a cap in Europe where apparently the German government is only allowed to spend 0.3% of their, to go above budget deficit of 0.3% every year. But that has resulted in an accumulated debt of 2.6%, which is a ratio of 63.7%. Debt ratio down from 66.1 to 63.7%. So what does that mean? Of the GDP that they're generating. So imagine your annual household income at 100,000. you are in debt at 60,000, right? So that's sort of the magnitude of what they're thinking. And obviously, there's interest to be paid on that 60,000. And then on top, you have to repay that or you grow your economy. But as we know, the German economy hasn't really grown that much, right? I think it's been growing. It actually shrank last year, 2023, by 0.3%. So it's declining. So it's going to make this percentage of GDP. And of course, the debt grew over that same period of time. So I don't know what it is at the end of 2024. But again, these are all lagging indicators. What does that mean? That we need to have a look. How do we get this information faster? Why? Because if we get them faster, we can track the performance better and we can be more on point with how to track this. But that does also mean more transparency. And obviously, we're seeing where that's going. But then I looked into Germany and looked at Europe, right? We talked, Germany's a big part of Europe. And then I looked into Europe. What's going on in Europe, right? And if I look into Europe, um, Europe equally has a huge amount of debt, but their debt ratio is 81.6% of European GDP, which includes German GDP. So, what you need to do is also include the debt of Germany into that of the European government. So, you need to collide those two together and extract the German GDP out of that to get to a greater European example of what that looks like. You have to do either or, right? And so to me, it's just highlights that actually you've got the cards wrong. The whole dilution of Europe and Germany, people just look at Germany, but they don't actually look at Europe and they don't look at the combined two together, right? So I'm sure we have to combine the debt of Europe and the debt of Germany, and to the European GDP to get to a cleaner balance sheet across the whole of Europe. Anyway, what am I trying to say with this? I'm just trying to say that I was at the far end of the table and I was definitely on defense the whole way because I didn't have my phone. We couldn't do the research, but we needed to have this debate. So this just led me to doing some homework and coming back here and finding this out. I also looked, we talked about, all of us have been around the world working in different countries. And so we also looked at who are Germany's biggest export partners, right? And so that was one of the things that we really wanted to look at, right? Because they said, oh, if the US just puts up tariffs, we go to China, right? And so actually, you can't really just go to China because you've already got a budget deficit with China, right? So it's like you're importing more from China than you're exporting to China. And here, then I looked at this and I looked at how this actually works. So China, total exports to China is 105 trillion. Total imports from China is 150 billion, right? And so imports from Germany is only 140 billion, but exports is 170 billion, so 30 billion net surplus. Europe is, by the way, the biggest partner for Germany. They export into the rest of Europe. I think it's like, look here, 54% of exports go to Europe and all the different countries around Europe. So Europe is an important market for Germany. Anyway, those were just insights. I thought, what does that mean? Ultimately, um, yeah, most of the, I just don't think that that transition was so good. In hindsight, I want to write to these people in our chat group and just let them know all of these insights. But this was sort of a quick finding, and one of them had agreed to come on to a podcast. He's the one of the co-founders of a AI robotics company that do a lot of the machines that are needed in factories to build materials. So I thought that was really cool, and he's agreed to come on. So that's a good thing. I got him coming on the spaces or doing a podcast with him around. Super excited. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you, as this was a big impact on my weekend and the dinner. But I mean, obviously over the weekend we had a bit more, right? We saw the US start the negotiations with Russia. You can see what that led to. The Europeans are panicking, right? So you can see them here, all coming together. And here you can share this tab. Yeah, I don't know. Is it up? Yeah, so here you go, right? So here, these are only Europeans sitting around a table talking to each other. So there's no, I don't know if the Ukrainian guys are there, there are no Russians there, but it took, yeah, I think somebody posted on Twitter that it took Trump 4 weeks to get a meeting together and a summit, and it took them years to actually come together, and it's not even with any of the parties at the table to resolve it, but they're insistent that it needs to be a strong peace, it needs to be respectful, etc. So of course, we all want peace. We want to build. Why is peace so important? Because after peace times, instead of destruction, we have reconstruction. And I think that'll be really favorable. Instead of sucking value out of the economy into weapons and into mass destruction, we can actually rebuild, create new jobs, create new opportunities, and build a modern infrastructure in the places where a lot of the ground has been just massacred and disrupted and everything. So let's hope we get to a peace arrangement in those parts. We need that. It's really um, important to do that. Yeah, we also see at the same time, there was this other announcement that came out, which was really, yeah, the US and the Russians in Riyadh getting together and negotiating, sort of seem to have a three-stage plan that includes a ceasefire, elections in Ukraine, and then a final peace agreement. So looks like there seems to be progress being made, and you know, again, like we've always said, trade is needed because that drives communication. Communication builds a greater understanding and ultimately drives, a better, happier place because you're sharing goods and services, and ultimately you have happier parties, right? Somebody's giving you money, you have money, you're giving me goods, I'm getting goods. So ultimately, it results in a positive, a win-win scenario. Anyway, that was really the big thing that's coming out of there. The other thing that I think we had and really shook the markets, especially in the crypto market, was obviously the Libra token. How many of you have Libra? Any of you? Did you buy into it? Did you buy into the Trump token? Anybody buy into the Trump token? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no. Tim to Kill's got another good sets of comments. I think, yeah, we really excited. Why are we excited about Trump? I mean, just look at what have you seen some of the findings that we've come up with? Yeah, so Doge finds. I don't know if you've seen this, but Doge finds. Oh, dude, this is messed up, man. I don't know if you can see my screen. Share this tab here. Here, Doge finds 4.7 trillion in untraceable treasury payments. So what does this mean? This doesn't mean that people have stolen 4.7 trillion dollars, but they're unaccounted for, right? So every time you wire money from the Fed to a recipient, there needs to be a recipient code so that you can account for it. This is standard accounting practice. Anybody that's built a business, anybody that does accounting knows that you need a cost center associated with the items, or a purpose for what you've spent it. So you need an input and you need an output. Where's it going to so I can account for it accordingly? And apparently $4.7 trillion worth of sendings or remittances have been made without any kind of tracing or counterparty. So that's what he's found out. I think the more shocking party and story to me is the fact that we have people at 190 and 99 years old. There are 448 people between that age bracket having received social security checks for the last 30, 40 years. Yeah. And then you go back, right? So overall, above the age of 100, look at this. You got 4, 7, 10, 16, 17, maybe it's about 20 million people in total that have received social security checks. And these people, 20 million of them are above the age of 100. So it sort of seems a bit ironic. And when you find these things out, that is the wastage that is happening. And imagine how that money can be redeployed instead of going to somebody's pocket somewhere, who knows where, and for what. As we found out, $4.7 trillion plus these social security payments. All of a sudden, we can start to streamline these costs and allocate them to better infrastructure rollout, better roads, better bridges, nicer buildings, better energy development, a better grid, faster rails, underground loops and tunnels. All of these things can now get funding and use the allocation from wastage to actually going into real projects. And that's why we believe there's going to be a bigger growth scenario than a lot of people anticipate. It always does account for a need that we need to see this money go back to the economy and not into somebody else's pocket somehow. And that's always the assumption. And given the stance that we're seeing from all the participants driving this and driving the change and these 100 days of thunder, and we said right from the beginning, it's going to be tumultuous, right? It's going to be crazy. The first 100 days are going to be wild, rough, raw, and real, right? So let's buckle up. There's going to be a lot of opportunity and chaos and confusion, but they results in a lot of opportunity. And you can see the markets are really nervous around how this is happening. Um, so much so, we saw exactly that same nervousness in Argentina's Libra token. I asked anybody who had it. Nobody's come in. Nobody. Yeah, Milei is doing a terrific job with Argentina inflation, but the token thing was terrible. Yeah, no, I think his inflation thing was really good. You can see he's bringing it down. If you come to Truflation, you can see how, look how he's just bringing it down. Um, yeah, month after month, week after week, day after day, it's just drop, 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 drop. And we're super excited to very soon be announcing how we're going to get more data for Argentina, better data in partnership with the government, as well as going to strengthen. So we won't see big jumps in data sets. We'll see a more of a smoother, more real-time curve as we do in the US. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, to your point, the token, he retweeted a token, retweeted the fact that he thought Libra was cool. Everybody thought that he was associated with it. They aped in, right? They'd already experienced the fact of what happened with the Trump coin, with the Melania coin, with the Barron coin, and now the Libra coin. Everybody thought it was his. And I think the fact of the matter is, and we know all the people involved. I mean, we were at the tech forum. You can see here CoffeeZilla. If you haven't seen the CoffeeZilla video, I mean, just watch it. It's just amazing. It's really it'll blow your mind. Here it is, the Libra interview. Voidzilla is now his name. But yeah, so Julian, we were on stage with Julian from Kip Protocol, Maurizio, he organized, and Manuel, they organized. They are, yeah, I mean, they're generally pretty good people. I mean, we met them, they seem very normal. They're all got good hearts in mind. They really want to grow the economy. They're building out the next conference. We want to support the next conference. And these are great people, really, hardworking, tenacious. Yeah, but let's see, it's like really. So my view is the capital is still locked in, and really who made the money were these snipers. So they got in advance, they started sniping up and trading up the price of the token, so much so that then they rugged it on everybody. When everybody started coming in, they started rugging on everybody, so much so that they made over $300 million. I think there's a Dune page where they make some $300 million that they rug pulled on everybody. So here, total realized losses in the Libra scam is $300 million. So it's not quite the 4 billion that everybody talks about. It's about 300 million that people lost. So here you can see the numbers. There's a Dune page. Go check that out as well. Um, but yeah, it's had an impact on all tokens, right? Everything has come down. And that's why we believe that the time is coming for us to see something different, We need to have something different come into crypto. Is it RWA? Is it index coins? Is it insurance protocols that protect you against rug pulls by governments such as inflation rug pulls that you're experiencing all the time? These are the products that people want using true RWA data from the Truth Network. And that's what the ecosystem around the Truth Network is trying to bring to you. Yeah, I get very passionate about it. That's really why I'm here. That's why I fight day and night. And at 1 a.m. here in Hong Kong, we've got consensus taking place. I'm here back again for consensus. Yeah, but there's a lot of people here, a lot of reacquainting with some really good people. So excited to be here, excited for the rest of this week. I'll try and give an update on Thursday, but I might actually have to do a recording because this is just, otherwise I'm just going to kill myself. And I want to not do that so that we can actually come and make sure that you get quality and we actually turn these products into a reality and show the world that we are truly undervalued. So, on that note, good night, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Happy rest of the week. See you on Thursday. I'll do a recording, and then I'll be back again. So, see you then. Thank you. Bye for now. Bye bye. Adios. We should have some sort of zinger taking you out. Ding, 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 ding. Bye bye, la.